All right, welcome to another episode of Rewiring Health. I'm very excited to be joined by Dr. Isabel Hunsinger. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Kelly. And please call me Isabel, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I know we just connected, and I just want to, I know you had shared some of your journey with me, but I would love for you to tell me, because I felt like it was so inspiring when I heard this, where you've come from, what brought you to what you do today, and how did that transform you in so many ways.
Do you want the short version or the 3-day version?
Maybe
Oh
somewhere
yeah,
in the middle.
the short version. Okay. Well, I have always had a desire to be a doctor since I was 5 years old, because I had this amazing uncle, Diolito, who was an anesthesiologist. He's now passed with Alzheimer's. And he was the kind of doctor that would walk into the room and just, the type of people would light it up.
Yeah, the energy.
I mean, just the smile and like, hey.
Yeah.
Mom said that one day he came in and I go, Mom, what does Diolito do? Tio is Uncle Julio in Cuban.
Oh, okay.
And Diolito, she said, Mom, Mamita, Mamita's little Isabel in Cuban. So she always called me Mamita. She goes, Mamita, he's a doctor. And I go, Mom, I'm going to be a doctor just like him. Oh. And so then I went on the journey to try and become a doctor. But, the talk in my mind, I can't believe the inner critic in me. But anyway, I ended up finally becoming a medical doctor in 1991. A conventional medical doctor from a medical school in Colorado. And then I opened up practice as a family practice doctor. And I loved it because I took care of everybody from birth to death.
Oh, wow.
So I get the whole family. And I don't ever like to leave anything out. I'm like the whole picture person.
All inclusive.
Yeah. And then, oh my gosh, in 1995, I graduated from my residency in family practice. And by the year 2000, I was so frustrated as a doctor because I realized in America, I'm now living in New Zealand, in America, that we didn't have a healthcare system. We have disease management. And I was just so tired of people showing up in my practice and they weren't getting any better. I was just giving them their 3 monthly pills, or sending them off to another specialist or sending them off to surgery, and just, they weren't getting healed, or they were having heart attacks and I wasn't preventing it and stuff. So then I remember in 2000, my husband and I were talking on a snowy night in Colorado with the elk outside. And I said, babe, let's go live somewhere else where I can practice medicine, where everybody gets healthcare, not just because you got insurance, but because the government takes care of the healthcare. And at that time we had been skiing with the Kiwis, who are people from New Zealand, because in the summer, in their summer, they come up to Colorado, to the Northern Hemisphere, to ski. And I remember skiing once with them, and I love their accent. And I go, where are you from? And they go, New Zealand. And I go, you know what? I'm going to move there someday. Well, that someday happened in 2000. And so in 2000, we moved to New Zealand and started practicing under a socialist kind of type of medicine where everybody gets health care. That's not the way it is right now. There's insurance and stuff here. But so I did that for 13 years. And after 13 years, I hit the wall again. I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't healthcare. This is disease management, and the chronic disease industry was just booming.
Yeah.
So then I just decided, okay, I'm going to jump out of the boat and walk on water and open up Doctoronamission and start working through the internet and helping reach more people, because I wasn't reaching enough people in my one room doctor's office. And the whole goal was to prevent and reverse disease and give people hope, because I had retrained myself as a during that process as a functional medicine doctor. Are you familiar with functional medicine?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. I've actually had someone on here who was a functional medicine doctor, and I'm all for it.
Oh, it's the new way medicine will be in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
It'll
Mhm.
take a long time. It's like
Yeah.
moving the Titanic.
100%.
Yeah, it will
Yeah.
take time, but it's the medicine of the future
Mhm.
because it gets to the reason of people's
Exactly.
unwellness, not just
Mhm.
Band-Aids. And so 2013, here I am, 2013, doctor on a mission, online, something you're never taught in school. Like I
Right.
did not learn how to be in social media in medical
Yeah.
school. And by 2014, a year later, I'm 53.
Mhm.
I'm a wife, a mother, a medical doctor, and a brand new entrepreneur. And I became so anxious because it wasn't going as fast as I wanted to. Do you know that feeling?
I do. Yes. And you're wearing a lot of hats. You're trying to keep everything at bay, and it can be overwhelming very quickly.
Yeah. And you can really start doubting yourself.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and when I get anxious, I don't sleep.
Mhm.
I just lay awake at night.
Yeah.
And what happened to me during this period was I only slept 2, maybe 3 hours every night
Oh
for
my,
17 straight nights.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and by the end of that, I tried to take my life twice in 3 days.
Mm,
And by the grace of God, that plan was stopped.
mhm,
My husband ended up taking me to the psychiatrist, and for a medical doctor to go see a psychiatrist is not good.
mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be perfect.
Mhm.
You and I have
Yeah.
talked about perfection with your
Yes.
story.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my ability to be a doctor, which is what I wanted to do since I was 5 years old.
Mhm.
But the thing is, here's where the beauty starts. I know it was ugly, but I can say now
Yeah.
that it was like the best thing that ever happened to me. And
Mhm.
I'll share with you why. Um, I remember seeing the psychiatrist and I was shattered,
Mhm.
shattered. And he said to me, okay, Isabel, here's the medicine you're going to take. You're going to take this sleeping tablet and you're going to be on this antidepressant. And at that point, I had totally surrendered. I was going to do whatever I needed to do, Kelly, because I wanted to get better. I really didn't really want to kill myself. I just wanted to, I just,
Help.
you just get to that
Yeah.
point that
Mhm.
nobody will ever know what it's like unless you're there. You can
Yeah.
never, I hope, I hope people learn from this that you can never ever know what it's like to be at that point of trying to kill yourself. You just don't know until you've been there.
Yeah.
And I have so much grace for
Mhm.
people in that place because I was there and it was ugly. But then I'm in this medical system in the mental health industry as
Mhm.
a patient. And here I've got the psychiatrist saying, you're going to be on this medicine for the rest of your life. And I, at that point, I was going to do whatever he told me to do because
Mhm.
I wanted
Right.
to get better.
Mhm.
And, but deep down inside, I said to myself, we'll see about that, buddy.
You don't know what I'm capable of.
Yeah, there was
Yep.
still that Isabel,
Yeah.
doctor on a mission. I'm
That's
gonna
right.
figure this out like you did.
Yes, that's right. That inner burning feeling like you got this. Yeah.
Yeah, like you ain't you're not gonna stop the fire in my belly. I still had fire in my belly. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it still was there. And so then and then and I can laugh about it now, but it was
Yeah.
ugly, okay?
Right.
As
Yeah.
you know, because you've been in dark,
Absolutely.
hard
When you're in dark
places.
spots. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so my husband and I went on this journey together
Mhm.
for 6 years, and we're way over on the other side. And what we have realized together is that one, I'm off the medication safely,
Mhm.
and I want to put a plug in for medication. Look, there's a place for medication. Okay,
Mhm.
it's not the answer, but there's a place.
Mhm.
And two, I now don't listen to the inner critic.
Mhm.
I turn
Yeah.
down the volume to the inner critic in my brain and turn up the volume of the inner cheerleader. Like, come on, Isabel, you can do this.
Mhm. Yeah.
And now I've learned the right way to get a good night's sleep, the
Mhm.
right way for me
Yeah.
to deal with my anxiety that I
Mhm.
used to have and can still creep up. Hey, I'll be honest with you. I don't think about killing myself anymore, but I
Mhm.
sure still have anxiety attacks. And I
Mhm.
have to let go, okay, you know how to do this.
Mhm. Yeah.
And and as a medical doctor in the medical system, as a patient, from the latest research, we now understand that it's not a mental illness that we have, Kelly.
Mhm.
It's a brain health issue. And
Mhm.
when we learn to take care of the contributors affecting our brain health, which I'm going to share a couple today,
Yeah.
then we can have better mental wellness to deal with the
Mhm.
stress, the anxiety that
Mhm.
life throws at us.
Yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's what I want to help people understand. It's not, we don't have a mental illness issue. We got a brain health issue. And there's
Mhm.
hope. There's so many different ways to help our brain health.
Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of it is that the brain is always adaptable. So especially when you say it like that, and that is so true, brain health, it doesn't feel so overwhelming and daunting because I feel like there's become such a stigma of like mental health, unfortunately, around that where people think this is permanent, I'm stuck with this forever, I got to be on medications forever. And it's like when you talk about this as a brain health issue, and there's things that can be done, it's like that inspires hope. Like there's more to what I can do for myself. And that's the beauty of it. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there
Mhm.
is so much hope. And that's my message is,
Yes.
hey, if you're willing to do the work, then
Yeah.
guess what? You'll get to the victory, but you got to
Yeah.
do the work.
Absolutely. And this, what you've been through, it's almost like, to be able to be in that place, you are now able to serve so many people and understand people in a way that many others couldn't. And now, like, for hopefully someone listening to this, if you're in a really tough place, what an inspiration. You've been in that dark, dark place and look where you are
Mm.
today. So
Yeah.
that's just a testament to the power of healing, the power of transformation, and the power of brain health.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that.
And I'm still married, thankfully, like
Yeah.
marriages are broken up because of
Yeah.
this.
Right.
So,
And what a testament to the support system you had too, which is absolutely essential in really tough times.
yeah.
That's amazing. Can you
Yeah.
talk about some of the brain health? Because I know incorporating into your life, what are some things that you do to facilitate optimal brain health for yourself?
Well, one I want to talk on the first one, which was new to me as a medical doctor, is hormones.
Mm,
Holy moly.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hormones are so important to our brain health. And so just in the big category of hormones, I just want to say, um, hormones regulate so much of our body and our brain health. And for women, we're always taught, oh, you're anxious, here's an antidepressant.
Mhm.
You're anxious, here's a sleeping tablet. It happened to me. I know I as a doctor have done it to my clients in the past. That's not who I am anymore. I'm not that doctor anymore. I'm the new updated version of Isabel.
Mhm.
So the hormones that I want to share with everybody to get checked is your estrogen levels.
Mhm.
Estrogen levels specifically for women and progesterone improves our sleep.
Mhm.
If women going through perimenopause and menopause
Mhm.
or even PMSing,
Mhm.
our hormones are out of whack, well, sometimes you might just need some progesterone to help you sleep better. I often prescribe bioidentical progesterone to help people, men and women, sleep better because it's a natural way of affecting your sleep.
Mhm.
The next hormone is testosterone. If your testosterone levels are out of whack, you'll have poor mood. So good levels of testosterone improves mood. And women also have testosterone.
Mhm.
It's not just a man hormone. No, we
Yeah.
just have less of it. Okay. Now, vitamin D. Oh my gosh, I just did a reel on vitamin D. Vitamin D. If I had one vitamin The reason I have vitamin D under this is because vitamin D is actually a hormone.
Mhm.
It's just named as a vitamin. And so vitamin D, hormone D, if I had one vitamin to pick to prevent suicide and decrease the risk of self-harm, it would be vitamin D.
Mhm.
And the research is out. Let me see. Oral vitamin D supplementation nearly halved the rates of suicide and intentional self-harm in a study of US veterans.
Wow.
Wow. I
Yeah, I
mean,
know. Like if, yeah,
it
like
should be in the water.
that should be like screamed all over the place, you know, like you should see that on the news, like the statistics like that. Like that
But
is
it's not.
profound.
But
It's
it's
not.
not.
I
And
know.
in functional medicine, the levels, the ideal levels would be 50 to 80 nanograms. That's ng/mils, ml. And that level is really important. And you can work with your doctor or you can contact me. I can help you with that to get that in optimal level. Because, hey,
Yeah.
if you've got brain health issues, why not optimize it
Right.
with the number one vitamin that Dr. Isabel puts on her list?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
The next hormone is DHEA, and everybody knows this as the youthful hormone. Well, DHEA is very important because it helps with our mood too.
Mhm.
The other hormone, which is the mama of all hormones, is pregnenolone. I mean, pregnenolone makes all of the hormones.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure that your pregnenolone level is in optimal level. The other hormone is a hormone called cortisol that's produced in our adrenal glands, which are like little almond glands right above our kidneys. And if your cortisol levels are shot high, it's because you haven't learned how to deal with stress, and you want to learn how to support your adrenals so that your cortisol levels are nice and stable. I remember when I checked mine, my cortisol level was pretty much flat because I had just burnt them all out with the stress, with but now I want to give everybody hope. There is ways to nourish and support your adrenals so that your cortisol levels get back to normal range. So there is hope. I'm right here. I just did it. It took
Yeah.
about a couple years, but you can do it.
Yeah.
And the last hormone that I wanted to share with everybody is your thyroid. Your thyroid controls 400 functions in your body.
Mhm.
Well, nobody ever checked all these hormones on me.
Mhm.
I didn't know. I'm like
Right.
you. I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm going to figure this out. And this was
Yeah.
like the first level,
Right.
So I took the module through the Institute of Functional Medicine about hormones,
Yeah.
and it taught me everything. And I continue to learn about the importance of hormones.
Yeah.
So
It's
hormones are huge.
And it just reminded me of I think it was a study I read, but like with the thyroid hormone specifically, the one test that's usually run, they only check like I think it's like T4 or something, and that's it. They don't check the other levels of anything else. So you may have an adequate level there, but everything else is in check. So you can still have your thyroid off, but on the data, it's showing that you're okay. So
Right.
that's
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I can add to that. I just
Yeah.
didn't know how much time we had, but
Yeah.
the thyroid test that all doctors get is this thyroid called TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. And if it's less than 5, they'll say, oh yeah, you're sweet. But in functional medicine, we like the levels to be 2 or less. So if you've already got a TSH of 5, you're hypothyroid, your thyroid isn't working well. And your thyroid controls 400 functions in your body. So you want that in tip-top form. And there's a lot of ways to support your thyroid to get it in tip-top form. But that's not taught in conventional medicine, So it's no fault of your doctor if they don't understand this.
Right.
Okay. But functional medicine doctors are, or if your doctor is learning functional medicine, they will be exposed to this. And then just a little bit more about thyroid. There's 7 blood tests for thyroid, not just one.
Yeah.
And a lot of doctors aren't taught to check
Yeah.
those thyroids. And would you like me to read them off just so that your
Sure.
listeners
Yeah.
can-
I think just to inform listeners of what they should be looking for.
Right. and they can always pause and rewind and pause and rewind and write
Right.
these down and go, I want these
Exactly.
checked with my doctor.
Yes.
So the first one is TSH. The second one is free T3, and free T3 is your active form of thyroid. And then there's free T4, and free T4 is your inactive. It's like your storage form. And then there's the reverse T3, and reverse T3 makes T4 become T3. So, and then there's thyroid antibodies, thyroid autoantibodies, and there's two of them. One is thyroid peroxidase antibody, and then the other one is anti-thyroglobulin antibody. For the nerds for the nerds in the room that want all these names. And then the last one, because I want people to be nerds. I want people to be the CEO of
Be
their health.
informed.
Yeah, be informed and be in control. Because and then the last one, here I was pinging again. The last one is your TSH receptor antibody. Because Kelly, it's insane for us to think that healthcare begins in a doctor's office. Crazy. Healthcare begins by listening and being informed, and then going to the doctor with your information going, I'd like this checked.
Exactly. Like, exactly. Taking responsibility for your health is the biggest thing, and being informed. I mean, that is really the biggest thing, and knowing what you should be looking for. And I think, from my experience, what I've seen is that the most frustrating thing that patients go through is that they feel a certain way, they feel symptomatic, they know something's wrong, they go to the doctor, they run 1 or 2 tests, and they said, no, you're fine. And then they feel discredited. And then they feel like, I know something's wrong. You're telling me I'm okay. And then that's where it's like, do I trust this? And then it becomes a snowball effect of like, I don't feel heard. And so now, like, listening to all these tests and knowing everything you can possibly know, and being an advocate for yourself that is how it should be. Knowing your body better than anyone else. So being aware of what's out there to take care of some of these things and look deeper if you haven't had the answers is crucial. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. I love it because, it's not, doctors don't have time to do this in a 15-minute conversation,
Absolutely. Yeah, you're in and out. And I think that's the big thing. It's like, there's so many people coming in. It's like, they don't have time to dive deeper into you and looking more holistically, and like it's a puzzle, anytime you have a healthcare thing going on, it's a puzzle and figuring out what is actually going on. But it takes time and effort to figure that out. And unfortunately, the modern medical system does not have time for that. So
no, the modern medical system, functional medicine has a metaphor. If you're standing on a tack, modern medicine just gives you a pill for the pain. Well, functional medicine is like, why don't you lift your foot off and remove the tack?
Yes.
Doesn't that make sense?
Exactly. 100%. No, it absolutely does. It's like, get to the root cause. There's a reason why you have pain. You're not born to live with pain. There's a reason why you have pain. There's a reason why you have symptoms. There's a reason why you're not sleeping. There's reasons for this. But if now I always use the analogy of like a weed. If you just clip the leaves off, the weed's going to come back and come back stronger. You have to get the root out, and then you take care of the problem.
That's very good. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. I mean, I'm right on the same page with you, because it's so frustrating to see we spent all this money, all this time, all this effort to just deal with symptoms and be reactive, where we could easily be proactive, save money, and actually let people live well and healthy and not feel like they have to live with chronic illness for the rest of their lives.
Right. I know. And everybody's a personalized prescription, it's personalized medicine. Everybody's a different recipe. I just read, I don't have this specifically, the numbers, but I just read that people are living longer, but the last 18 years is unwell. Like, if you're going to live longer anyway, because of modern medicine, or because of, we've got running water and all that stuff. But the last decade and a half are in poor health. Like, what's the point? We can do that differently now.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, I think the problem is that we're trying to strive for quantity, but we're not getting the quality along with it. So, I mean, I worked in assisted livings, my husband does. I mean, we've seen it, you have people living to 100, but what's the quality of life? Like,
Right.
and that's the saddest thing to me. It's like they're living, but are they really living?
No.
And we have to do better by people. If you're going to
Yeah.
allow them to live physically and allow the bodies to live, we have to do better by allowing them to actually enjoy life for that duration as well. It's a big difference.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah. As
Very
for,
good.
I know you, you do a lot with like cognitive decline and anxiety. Can you talk about that? Like, what are
Sure.
some ways we can decrease that and address that in a different way?
Sure. I have been blessed, and as my husband, to be trained by Dr. Dale Bredesen, who
Mhm.
wrote the book, The End of Alzheimer's. And he's
Mm,
trained practitioners around the world to prevent and even reverse early Alzheimer's.
mm.
And so
Yeah.
our clients come to us, and the number one thing that Michael and I both work with is their sleep and
Mhm.
their food. I'm there, there's a lot. You have to look at a lot of the contributors, but the number one, I'd say number two things is their diet
Mhm.
and eating a plant-based, mild ketogenic,
Mhm.
high fiber diet. I
Mhm.
don't even like to call the word diet.
Yeah.
Lifestyle is the
Mhm.
way to go. You want to
Yeah.
stay in mild ketosis with
Mhm.
you want to be blowing ketones between 1 and 4.
Mhm.
Now, I have doctors that say keto, that's deadly. That's cardiovascularly, that's going to commit suicide. Well, I'm not talking about bacon and eggs and cheese and butter.
Yeah.
We're talking about a plant-based, mild ketogenic, so that you're blowing ketones between 1 to 4. Okay.
Mhm.
Your brain can use ketones a lot better than sugar.
Mhm. Yeah.
We've also seen that a lot of people have prediabetes,
Mhm.
prediabetes, and the doctors aren't doing anything about it. They're like, nah, it's no big deal. Wait until you get
Right.
to diabetes and then we'll give you the pill. And I'm like, prediabetes is deadly because it can
Mhm.
cause cognitive decline
Right.
and even heart attacks and even
Mhm.
strokes. I've had patients
Right.
with prediabetes that are showing signs of cognitive decline and that have had heart attacks. So prediabetes is serious.
Yeah.
So our eating is super important.
Mhm.
And then sleeping is very important. People
Mhm.
aren't getting enough sleep,
Mhm. And quality sleep. Yeah.
quality sleep. So
Yeah.
I mean, just become an expert in sleep hygiene.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, it always seems to be the thing that takes a back seat to everything. It's like, oh, sleep, I'll get it. I'll get it later. And you don't catch up on sleep. It's a daily thing you
Mm,
have to implement and make sure that you're doing the right things to facilitate sleep. So it's
absolutely.
so important.
Absolutely.
And it's a
And
big
also,
lifestyle.
oh yeah, it's a big lifestyle. And
Yeah.
just one thing about women and Alzheimer's,
Mhm.
this is what's so sad, because I was on this highway, I was on this
Yeah.
trajectory. 2/3 of women account for Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So let's just
Gosh.
backtrack. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things, but let's
Mhm.
backtrack. One is men and women both go through a menopause or an andropause.
Mhm.
Women go through menopause and men go through an andropause. That's when the hormones are decreasing.
Mhm.
So for women, menopause is drastic. It's like the
Mhm.
trajectory is down. Men go through a very slow decline of hormones.
Mhm.
When women are going through menopause and they show up to their doctors, like I did,
Mhm.
anxious, depressed,
Yes.
suicidal, they
Mhm.
get placed on sleeping tablets
Mhm.
and they get placed on anti-anxiety. They get placed on antidepressants.
Right.
Well, both those increase your risk of cognitive decline. Michael and I have so many clients that are women that are on sleepers, that are on antidepressants. And we have to first repair the ground, which takes a long time before you slowly
Mhm.
remove these. You
Yeah.
never want to remove. I don't
Right.
want anybody listening to this and just stop their sleepers or stop their antidepressants. That's not the way you do it. Step away from that buffet
Yes.
that, you know, of like, I'm going to
Right.
do this. And
Right.
no, you don't
Yes.
want to do that. You want to go
Mhm.
you want to get help. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm like, yay, you know, Michael and I are in the arena of helping the elderly,
Mhm.
people over the age of 60, live a better life without cognitive decline because of Dr. Bredesen. They don't have to die like my beautiful uncle who
Mhm.
died of Alzheimer's, who would have been
Right.
like a beautiful person into
Mhm.
his hundreds,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yes, it's
So,
yeah, absolutely. And if you can prevent it and with lifestyle changes without having to get to the point where we're relying on medications that cause a slew of different problems, why not do that? I mean,
right.
it's absolutely
Why
for
not?
going off of the keto diet or lifestyle. When would you recommend someone starting that? Like, would you say in their younger life, or is it like when they get to 60? So what would
Oh,
be best?
well, Dr. Bredesen has teaches us that you can start preventing, the best time to start preventing cognitive decline
Mhm,
of the Alzheimer's type is in our 40s.
mhm.
So 40s is a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And another thing, I want to go back to the hormones because I wanted to ask this question, but besides supplementation, how else would you recommend people improve their hormonal levels as far as like lifestyle? What are things people can do to implement daily activities or whatever into their life where these hormones can become more balanced for them?
Hmm. Well, first of all, I always recommend test, don't
Mhm,
guess.
mhm,
There's a lot of practitioners that just say, oh, I'll give you a little bit of estrogen and a little bit of
mhm,
progesterone. Test your levels and get them in optimal range.
mhm,
That's number one.
mhm,
Test, don't guess. Exercise is a great way,
mhm,
and eating well. All those three really work together.
mhm.
Getting your hormones, optimizing your hormones, eating well, a mild ketogenic, plant-based diet, and exercise.
Good. Yeah. Good advice. And
Oh,
again,
and dealing with stress for
yes.
the cortisol. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right, stress.
Yes, that again, yes. Never seems to go away, but it
No.
really is so important because I think again, people just take it as like life is stressful, okay, and it just almost excuses them to deal with the stress, but you have to have tools in place to deal with that because it'll throw you off so quickly in
Yeah,
every way, shape, and form. So it's so important. And
I know.
again, the exercise and the eating, I love how we can talk about it in a different realm because I think again, in the modern world, we talk about exercise and eating well for weight loss specifically. We don't talk about how that impacts every other aspect, especially your brain. I mean, we need to focus that as a society. Like, what is it doing for your overall body, your brain health? And then if it helps with your weight, great, but that should not be the priority. And unfortunately, it is when we talk about that. So I think it's so important the point you brought up about how we can use just daily things we always have available to us to allow ourselves to live in a good place and be
I
healthy.
know. I know. I know. Oh, and the food industry is just tricking people. Oh my
Mm.
gosh. That's
Oh
a
my
whole other
gosh.
podcast.
Yes,
You should probably do,
I
you
would
might
love
want to
that.
consider doing one with my husband, Michael,
Yes, I would
about,
love that.
yeah,
Oh my
about
gosh.
how the food industry is tricking people.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that because we've noticed that. I mean, we keep seeing GMO on everything. We look at the sugar in our content, especially with kids. We're trying to like give them a healthy diet, but you realize even when you think you're eating healthy, you're really not because of everything that they're doing to food these days. So yeah, I would love to talk further about that because I'm a huge believer in that as well.
Yeah,
That we
and a lot of this obesity isn't, I have so much grace for people from what I've gone through. And what I've learned is having this obesity epidemic is not people's fault.
Mhm,
Their brain chemicals are being tricked,
mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, and so we just gotta empower people.
Mhm.
That's, you know, if
Exactly.
once you empower people and say, you can do this, you can
Mhm.
overcome this.
Yes.
You can be in
100%.
control of this instead of browbeating them and, you know,
Yes.
and
Yes, the shame game that is in so
Yeah.
many places. And it's like, if we could just give people that internal fire that you deserve better, you're worthy of more, and you can change this and inspire hope, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
And the empowerment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I truly, I mean, I feel like I could talk to you all night. There's so many things we could unpack here, but so many golden nuggets from this. And there's so many parts that I hope people rewind and listen to again, because so many things you can take and actionable steps you can take if your health is not where it wants to be, that you can get to the root cause, and so many things you can now investigate that maybe you never even thought of. And it could literally be the key to opening up a new life for yourself. So thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge.
Thank
Really
you. And
appreciate
in
it.
less than 1 week, you can start feeling better. That's
Yeah.
the magic of taking control.
Mhm.
That's the power of taking control of your health. 1 week.
Yeah. And see, that's the amazing thing too, because it's not that you have to do a decade of this. Like, I mean, 1 week, how that goes by in a heartbeat, so why not allow yourself to have that gift?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Isabel. Like I said, we'll have to do a sequel because there's so much we could unpack here.
Yeah,
So I
I'd
really
love to.
appreciate you coming on today and sharing everything to inspire hope in healing with everyone who's listening today. So thank you.
My pleasure. And remember, everybody, you got the power. You got the power. You got the
That's
power.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. The energy is contagious, and I hope everyone takes it in and is like, do one little thing today to move yourself forward. That's all you got to do. So I love it. So thank you so much again. And again, thank you for everyone who's listening. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, and any questions and comments you might have for Isabel or myself, we'd love to respond to that. So thank you again.
Bye, everyone.